I let my wife's best friend move in. Within weeks, he replaced me. My wife even forgot our date night, but I let it slide until she called him her soulmate. Now I'm the third wheel in my own marriage. My wife M met her best friend Chuck in high school. They became close friends, and Chuck came out to M as gay. M was supportive. A year or so later, Chuck came out to his parents. They disowned him and kicked him out, and Chuck ended up living with M and her parents for the rest of high school. M and I started dating after college, and she told me all about Chuck and how close they were and how he was like a brother. I met Chuck, and we got along and became friends. Chuck is a good guy. At the time Chuck was dating a guy, they ended up moving in together about the same time that M and I got engaged. M and I have been married for 5 years now. I'm a project manager and took on a year-long project in another city. I have to leave at 5:30 a.m. every morning and get home around 6:30 p.m. M and I had a long talk about my job before I took on this project. We knew it would be a sacrifice for me to be working so much, but I'm getting more money than I ever thought I would. After this project, we can pay off our student debt and start trying to have a baby. We both agreed the money was worth it since it's only a year. That year will be up in late November. In March, Chuck caught his boyfriend cheating. He was devastated. M immediately told him he could move in with us. I was fine with him moving in, but not happy that M didn't even discuss it with me first. Chuck was pretty broken up and M was giving him lots of love and attention. I was fine with it because I know how much she loves Chuck and he did need her. I also did my best to support him and make him feel loved. For a while this was fine, but as time went on, M has continued to pour all of her attention into Chuck. Sometimes I get home from work and neither of them are there, and I found out they went to a movie or out to dinner together. I don't think there is anything romantic or intimate between them, but it has been annoying that I get left out of all the plans. The past few weeks, several things have happened. The three of us went to a party and someone joked about Chuck being our third wheel, and M said, "Chuck is not the third wheel." I said, "What?" And she said, "I've known Chuck longer than I've known you." A week or so after that, M and Chuck went out dancing one night. I had to work the next day, so I stayed home. I woke up at about 3 a.m. and M was not in bed. I went and found her and Chuck cuddled up on the couch, asleep with the TV on. Both of those things made me uncomfortable. I also realized I had been working so much, I was just sort of letting M and Chuck plan everything, and I had not planned a date night in a while. I decided I needed to be more active, and so I planned a date night for last Friday. When I first told M, she was excited as we have not been on a date, just the two of us, in a while. Friday, I got home at 6:30 and M and Chuck were not there. I took a shower and got ready. About 7:15, I finally called M as we had reservations at 8. She answered, and when I asked where she was, she said her and Chuck had gone shopping and were getting some dinner. I was kind of stunned and asked about our date. She laughed and said, "Oh, I forgot, oh well." And that was that. She didn't even invite me to join them. So a point I should make here, my dad was very controlling of my mom and had an anger problem where he would yell and throw things. He never threw things at us, but it was still scary as a kid. I have worked very hard to not be like him. I've tried to never be controlling of M or tell her what to do. I also tend to shut down when I get angry. When M forgot our date, I was mad, so I didn't say anything right then, but I knew I needed to address how I was feeling. So later that evening, I told her we needed to talk. I had written down some things so I could stay focused. I started by saying that I loved Chuck, and he was always welcome in our home, but that I felt like our marriage was suffering, and we needed to work on us. M blew up. She thought I was attacking Chuck. I guess I didn't word things well, and she started defending him and attacking me. We have never had a big fight before, we always talk and work things out. I was stunned that she was attacking me. She said some awful things. Then she said, "Chuck is my soulmate, and you just have to get used to that." I just shut down. I didn't even know how to process that. I love M more than anything in the world, but in that moment, I realized she loves Chuck more than she loves me. I thought M and I were soulmates, but to hear her say she considers someone else her soulmate has been devastating. I don't remember the rest of the talk. She huffed off after a while and slept on the couch. Her and Chuck left together on Saturday and were gone most of the day. When they got back, she acting like nothing had happened. On Sunday, she even made a small joke and batted her eyes at me, something she does when she's flirting with me. Normally, I love it, but this time, it just made me sick. I told her this was a busy week at work and I was just going to stay at a hotel near the job site, something I have done a few times before, so I haven't seen her since Sunday night. I don't know what to do. Typing all of this up has made me realize I am really burned out with all of this travel. Maybe I checked out too much and haven't given her enough attention. But how do I move forward knowing she will never love me as much as I love her? Minor update. Seeing a bunch of comments from women who say they have more than one soulmate has given me hope. To me, you only have one soulmate, but that's not a word Em or I ever really use, and I just really hope she means it different than how I took it. We have been texting back and forth some this week, and we spoke on the phone last night. It wasn't anything big, she just called and said she missed me and couldn't wait until I got home. I'll be home tonight. I told her we should talk about our fight last Friday, and she agreed and said she hates that we fought and we need to work it out. She said she loves me. We will be talking tonight, and I guess I'll find out where I stand. Update. Recap. My wife, Em, has a gay best friend, Chuck. Chuck's boyfriend broke up with him and he moved in with us. Em has been spending all of her time with Chuck, and when I confronted her about it, she said he was her soulmate. I made my first post on Thursday. When I took the time to think about it all and type it all out, I realized how burned out I have been with this work project. Friday morning, I met with my team and scheduled some time off coming up soon. I'm in a much better headspace just knowing I have that downtime soon. Em and I had our fight on a Friday night, then I left on Monday and stayed out of town all week for my project. During that time, we did text back and forth every day, and we talked on the phone a few times. It was awkward because we both knew we needed to have a big talk, but over the phone was not the time or place. Em texted me this Friday and said Chuck was gone for the weekend so we could spend time just the two of us, and that she wanted to make up for our missed date. I got home Friday evening and we agreed to talk before doing anything else. I had written out everything I wanted to say and she sat and listened. We talked for a long time and we each went back to some things to get clarification, so I'm not going to try and replay everything we said, just the main parts in the way that makes the most sense. I told her how I didn't like her joke about me being the third wheel, and how much it hurt that she forgot our date, and then how crushed I was that she said Chuck was her soulmate. There were some other little things too. When I was done, she said she was sorry and she was wrong for saying those things. She said I am not the third wheel, and I am her soulmate, and she asked if she could explain why she did and said what she did. When Chuck's parents first kicked him out in high school, he was in a bad place and had considered taking his life. He told Em's mom, and they got him help. So when Chuck called in March about his boyfriend cheating on him, Em had freaked out and was afraid he was going to hurt himself. She said she felt like she needed him close so she could watch him and keep him safe. I had made a comment about how for the past 6 months it seems like her and Chuck were living their best life together, and she said that she has been miserable this whole time, that she has been on the verge of a nervous breakdown. After our fight, she knew she was wrong and realized she needed to get help and let it go. She talked with Chuck and he promised that he was a stronger person than he was in high school, and promised that he was not even thinking about hurting himself. They agreed it was best if he moved out, both to give Em and I time to work on us, and so Em wouldn't be obsessing over when he was coming and going. Em wanted to talk to me last Sunday, but I had said I needed time, and she wanted to give me space. It was a long talk with lots of tears. She apologized a bunch of times. She said she was so concerned with Chuck's mental health that she attacked me because she thought I was going to make him move out, and she was lashing out. She acknowledged that she hurt me and said she loves me, and she wants to work on herself and find ways to deal with fear and worry in a healthy way. We have never really had a big fight before, and we both agreed we could have handled it better, her by not lashing out and me by not shutting down. We agreed to start couples counseling to help us learn how to disagree in a more healthy way. We were both emotionally drained after the talk, so we just ordered some food and stayed in. We cuddled in bed to watch TV talk and just be together. We have missed each other a lot these past few months, and it was really nice to just hold her. The next day, Saturday, we took a day date. We went to breakfast, went shopping, saw a movie, and even got pedicures together. My toes look amazing. Several times throughout the day, she would just stop and look at me and say she had missed me, and she was so sorry she had pushed me away. Today, Sunday, we called Chuck, who was staying with another friend. He said he was sorry he had caused so much stress for Em and me. He acknowledged he had been focused on himself and not even realized that we were not doing well. He said he loved us both and is so grateful that we let him stay while he was getting over his breakup. He is looking at a few places and plans to be out in the next week or two. He did offer to move out right away, but I am okay with him staying a little longer. I think having a plan in place is the most important thing. Our relationship took a hit, but we love each other and we are going to work on it. We set some boundaries, and also agreed to always make each other our top priority. I have a few more months left on this project, but are going to make a point to go on a proper date at least once a week and reserve some cuddle time on the weekends. Thank you to everyone who replied or sent me a message based on my first post. I got some really good advice. I am hopefully this experience will make us better and make our relationship stronger. Story 2. I've found out why my husband hides his best friend from me, and I don't think there's anything I can do about it. I, 26 female, have been married to my husband Dylan, 26 male, for 3 years. We got together when we were 17, but we've known each other since the 4th grade. I love my husband. He's the total package. Funny, sweet, smart, and attractive. He's made my life amazing, and he's who I fully intended on spending the rest of my life with. We attended all the same schools from the time we met up until college. In that time, we've both made our own friend groups. He's been more connected with his friends than I have, and because of that, I've become a part of the group as well, I'd like to think. In that time, I've been at around 50% of their group hangouts, mostly because of my job, but sometimes I'm just straight up not invited. I didn't question any of this because, hey, they're his friends. He doesn't see them nearly as often as he sees me. It's not my business. My husband met his best friend Caro, 27 male, long before he met me. I knew almost nothing about Caro up until recently. He wasn't at our wedding, nor did he attend any of the same schools as us, and I was under the impression he wasn't friends with anyone in our group. I thought all of this was because of his line of work. As I was told, he traveled a lot. Last year, me and my husband went to a BBQ hosted by another couple in the group. Caro was there. I didn't recognize him at first, but when I realized who he was, I was honestly kind of shocked. I'd seen him in person before, but he always kept a very, very good distance from me, which I'm realizing now was intentional. Anyways, he's totally stunning. He looks like he could be a supermodel. When I attempted to make conversation with him, he seemed really nervous and totally shut me down after a few sentences. When I mentioned this behavior to anyone else, they also shut me down, saying things like, "That's just how he is," or "Maybe you said something that offended him." In short, no one would tell me anything about Caro at all. Any conversation that involved him was a no-go. At the end of that night, I tried talking to Dylan about his behavior. He told me Caro didn't like me. I was confused because I'd hardly seen him in person at all, let alone actually talk to him. The excuse my husband gave was that he disliked me because I cheated on my husband once in college, and Caro was too stubborn to let it go. I've seen Caro less than a dozen times since then, mostly at birthday parties, huge get-togethers, and on one occasion he came to our house to watch a football game with my husband and a few of their other buddies. Anyways, a few weeks ago, my husband went fishing with his cousin. That same night, I had some of the girls in our friend group over for a girls' night type thing. Lily, 24 female, was scrolling through some social media. I was glancing over her shoulder when I saw a selfie of Dylan and Caro sitting next to each other in a hot tub. The selfie had been posted maybe 30 minutes ago. I asked Lily about what I had seen, and she went pale. She tried saying nothing, but I snatched the phone from her and went to the profile that posted the photo. The profile belonged to my husband. It was a private profile, and scrolling through the photos, most of them were dirty jokes or memes, but the rest of them were photos of him and Caro. Either they were hanging out alone or with the rest of the group minus me. Most of the photos, they seemed way too close, too touchy, or doing things that seemed too personal or intimate for friends to be doing. I spent a good 10 minutes looking before I couldn't take it anymore. I was horrified. All of the photos were dated to nights. My husband told me he was working late, hanging out with this relative or that, times that he'd told me he was doing something else, and obviously hangouts I wasn't invited to. Lily just sat there looking dumb. She didn't say anything, but all the girls were looking at us like a bomb had just gone off. They clearly knew what I had seen, and their reactions were enough to confirm exactly what I was afraid of. I was livid. I started yelling, Lily was crying, and the rest of the girls were freaking out. When I started to calm down and demanded that they explain what was going on, Lily told me everything. Dylan and Caro had been sleeping together and very essentially dating behind my back since before we even got married. They got together during a 1-month break me and Dylan had during college, and they stuck together ever since. They all knew, and none of them told me until I found out the hard way. Caro wasn't at our wedding because he felt guilty. He avoided me like the plague because he felt guilty. They arranged group meetups in a group chat I wasn't in because they all liked Caro enough to spare his feelings. Even the guys in the group felt the same way about him, apparently. Caro was never as distant as I thought he was. He was just being hidden. Dylan was hiding him from me because he didn't want me to find out they were together. By the end of it, half of us were sobbing and everyone who wasn't was apologizing to me. I was so angry. I made them swear they wouldn't say anything to Dylan or anyone else. I kicked them all out and cried myself to sleep. I was basically in denial, like it was some kind of sick prank. My husband didn't come home until the next morning. He told me all about the supposed fishing trip he'd went on. I didn't say anything about what I knew. I guess he could tell something was up because he kept asking me what was wrong all day every 5 minutes. Eventually, I just told him I'd been in an argument with my sister. By the end of the week, I was totally numb. Last night, while my husband was handing out candy to kids, I saw a notification pop up on his phone. Since I knew his password, I opened it. It was a text from Caro. I looked through the conversations they'd had. It confirmed everything. It was devastating. Dylan texted Caro the exact same way he texted me. He told Caro he loved him. Every sweet thing he said to me had been said in his conversations with Caro. I was hardly mentioned. I put his phone back before he noticed. Dylan is at work now. I don't know what to do. I could never imagine myself leaving Dylan because he's such a loving partner and a good man. But I can't see myself winning in a competition against Caro if that's what it comes down to. I can't even make myself be disgusted or angered by Dylan. I love him too much. I'm not even upset with Caro. But I'm so hurt. I don't want to risk losing my husband, and I don't want to share him. I called Lily and my sister this morning and told them about what I had found. They both asked what I'm going to do, and I had nothing to say. I don't know what to do at all. Update 1. Hi, I really appreciate the support and advice I was given on my last post. Dylan came home last night around 10. I had a whole speech prepared to confront him with, but I could only end up saying, I know about you and Caro. I'll spare the details of the conversation because it's still raw, but he left around midnight. He only took a few of his things. I haven't spoken to him since, aside from him telling me he was coming to get more of his things, and after our conversation, I've decided to go through with divorce. I've collected all the necessary information, and I'll be getting in touch with a lawyer shortly. Again, thank you all for the advice and help to come to my senses. Update 2. I was unaware it was a big trend to repost Reddit posts onto TikTok. This is what happened with my first post, and the video has almost 700k views. A friend of mine, Noah, who I am name-dropping because I know he will see this and I appreciate him dearly, forwarded me the video because he knew it was my post. I explained the situation to him prior and he knew I had posted it. There are several things I want to address, and I ask that whoever made the video, because they clearly use Reddit posts this too to clear my name. Everybody in my life knows by now, so I see no harm in addressing you personally. To recap, yes, I am leaving Dylan. No, I did not actually cheat on him. It was a huge misunderstanding between the two of us that lead him to believe and tell people that I cheated. I don't even know if what he told me about Caros's dislike for me is or was true. No, I am not going to sue him for everything he has. I will no longer be speaking to anyone from that group. I may have been naive, but I am not stupid. No, I still do not know why they chose to betray me like that, and I don't intend on finding out. Yes, while his parents were accepting of the rainbow community, I don't think they would have been okay with Dylan marrying a man. From here on out, I doubt I will have anything to say. That is all, thank you. Also, I have never watched Brokeback Mountain, but the jokes about it did make me chuckle. Update 3. About 8 months ago I posted here, seeking a release from an ugly, brutal situation involving my cheating now ex-husband. I've been working really hard on getting better for myself, and since then, I've done okay, until a week and a half ago. 10 days ago, I heard from one too many distant mutual friends that Caro left Dylan. It makes me so happy to hear that he got what he deserved. The man he had to have left him. Unfortunately, Caro hasn't received his end of the karma and is still just as perfect as the day I found out he was having an affair with my husband. However, I'd be lying if I said I cared or had any ill will towards him. I don't just my ex-husband. Hell, if I saw him in a parking lot, I'd sprint over, shake his hand, and tell him I'm glad he delivered my ex-husband his much-deserved karma. I don't know how Dylan is doing now, but I hope he sees how it hurts being betrayed like that. Anyways, you can consider this the end of the line. No more updates, no nothing. All I can and will do from now on is heal.